All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans, sponsored by Lionbolt Media. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top professionals in our field, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Now, our very special guest and featured titan for episode 295 from beautiful Colorado Springs, Colorado, none other than Candace Hollon. Candace, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. It's always great having a conversation with you.
Oh, yes, I agree. And I've been, before we jumped in here in the green room, as they say, I was just telling Candace how excited I am about this episode to really dive into who you are as a person, Candace, and a professional, and everything that you do for the industry and the community that you serve. So this is going to be a great one. There's no doubt. So if you're ready, let's rock.
I'm ready.
All
Let's
right,
go.
so we're diving into the first question as we always do, and this is for anybody who doesn't know you, Candace, kind of the intro, the origin story, if you will. So if you wouldn't mind sharing who you are, where you come from, what got you into the business, and kind of your journey to today. Let's just start with that.
Okay. So again, my name is Candace. I am from a small town in Indiana with about 2,000 people. It's very farm town. Everyone knows everyone. And when I turned 17, I enlisted into the Army Reserves, left for basic training 2 months after my high school graduation. And so I was 18, out into the world by myself. And I actually met my current husband. We've been together for about 15 years now, but we actually met in the military. And so now I'm an Army wife and a veteran, and I have 4 kids that range from 4 to almost 14. So lots of age ranges there. We stay busy around here.
Yeah.
Um, but my journey from small town life to kind of where I am here in Colorado Springs, it's a big transition. And since everything kind of happens gradually in your life, sometimes you don't really realize the progress, the changes that the outside world kind of experiences from the outside looking in. And so I always knew I wanted to do something big with my life. My parents would tell you from the time I was super little, I was always like, I'm going to be a millionaire and I'm going to do all these great things. And so I've always kind of had, I would say, like almost like a childlike spirit where I feel like I'm never going to be a grown up. I love people. I love laughing. I love teaching. I love networking with other people, especially in my industry. It's one of my favorite things. And so as I became a mom at 19 and then had my next baby at 20 and then 23 and 28,
Wow.
that journey, I was a stay-at-home mom for almost 11 years. And so with my husband being military, we didn't have family around. I didn't have babysitters. I didn't have any assistance with that. And so I worked at home. I coached women through fitness on Facebook groups. And so I did that for several years, dipped into some life coaching. And so, I'm a true believer that whatever path you're on and whatever steps you take, as long as you're following your gut and what, God's guiding you to and your intuition, it's leading you to something, right? Because everything is building us up to the next thing. And I like to look at it as a staircase and, the vision for your life that is for you, I feel is so big that if we knew every single step, it would be too overwhelming. We would never do it. So it's like little stepping stones. So for me, my stepping stones really were joining the military, starting my family, and still making sure that even though I felt like I was not sleeping and had big dark circles, and I felt like it was just, when you're in the depths of baby life, it feels like there's never anything on the other side. And so even through that, just making sure that I was doing at least a little bit, even if it's 30 minutes to an hour a day, just something for myself. And so I immersed myself in personal development, book after book, podcast after podcast. And I really think those things kind of helped build me and get me ready for launching my real estate career.
Candace, you laid a lot out there for everybody to digest, and I love that because there's so many milestones or stepping stones, as you mentioned, which are so beautiful and giving you massive amounts of perspective to who you have become as a person. And that's just so great. I mean, most people don't take the time to understand the backstory and know, like they just see this, titan of industry and they say, oh my gosh, they can do no wrong. But there's so many learning experiences and perspectives along the way that have made you who you are, which is so, so great. And I want to kind of take you back to the earlier part of kind of your explanation into your journey. What was it initially, Candace, about the military for you? Like when you were, younger and you
Hmm.
made that decision, like what was it in your life pattern that said, that's what I want to do. I want to serve my country. What
Yeah.
comes to mind?
A couple of different things. I had a lot of kind of unhealthy, tough experiences as a kid. And so I had to overcome a lot. I had kind of some traumas and things like that. And so when I was older, I was like, I want to create a new life. I want to build something different. And to me, joining the military was a great option. It was going to put me with different people. It was going to take me across the country, give me great experiences. I felt like I could give back, get some college paid for, all of those things. And when you're from a small town like that, it's pretty secluded. And so I felt like that was my only way out.
Mm.
So it was really just kind of a really big step for me of literally branching into a completely different life. And that one decision completely transformed the entire rest of my life.
Hmm. I really appreciate that explanation too, Candace. And I know that you love and serve the military community as a whole, and you have a deep understanding of that personally as a veteran, but also, your husband, being active in the military and understanding the details of what that feels like. And there's so many professionals, and correct me if I'm wrong, Candace, that
Mm-hmm.
they serve the military and they love the military, but they don't really have first-hand experience into what it really truly is like. And to understand your clientele and to really have been in their shoes, to be in their boots, if you will, is a big thing, at least to me. And
Yeah.
so I love the depth and the backstory. I want to talk about being a mom because I think that there's so many individuals that break it down and they say, like, Candace, how? How are you able to do what you do to the level that you do it at and still being an incredible wife, an incredible mother, and really looking at it from that perspective? So during that time frame raising your children, what was that like? Like, kind of earlier days. Not talking about now, but kind of earlier days as you explained. What was that like?
Whenever you are an active duty family and you have little bitty babies, it is a feeling that you can't really describe fully unless you're living it because the isolation gets to be pretty significant. Finding community, and then you're moving every couple of years, and so by the time you start to meet people, you get yourself out there, you build up your confidence, and then 2 or 3 years later you're moving and starting over again. And so that kind of struggle was something that really has helped me in my real estate career because I know what that feels like. And so one thing that we do as a team is we have a local spouse community where we do virtual get-togethers, we do in-person get-togethers, and it's kind of like just show up as you are. If you bring your kids, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. But just any sort of connection with other people. And I knew that even virtually makes a big difference because of the experience I had at home where I was running Facebook groups and meeting other women and kind of running those groups. And so the connections that we built, I mean, I had friends that I can think of two off the top of my head that we did that for several years together. And then we actually flew to meet each other and we're still close friends. And so
Wow.
when you're a military family, you truly bond with people for life. It's like your family. And so although those years were pretty tough,
Okay.
and it kind of goes by so fast, it's kind of a blur. It really has given me so much to give back to those families who do have little babies and their spouses are gone and things like that. So it definitely prepared me for my mindset today and how I serve my clients.
I love this. And Candace, as you broke down kind of, looking at it from a fitness standpoint as well as, life coach and mentor standpoint, everything that you've kind of built and had this conversation is translating into the incredible real estate professional that you are today. So what was that like in your mind in that time frame? Why real estate? And what was it like kind of in that part early on in your career? I just want to kind of take it there and then take us to today, I guess.
Yeah. Whenever I first started thinking about getting my real estate license, in my opinion, I felt like my experience prepared me for that. So everything we just talked about, I felt like gave me so much to start with. I knew how to grow community on social media. I knew how to connect with people virtually. I knew how to do those things. And I also knew that I'm only in a place for a certain amount of time. And so that pressure really pushes you to work really hard, because if I did, a third of the work that I currently do, my business would be so much further behind, which is fine. Everyone's at their own pace. But for me, I knew that if I only have a few years here, I want to maximize it. I want to grow my business. I want to launch everything that I can. And so when I first got my license, never having childcare or help before, my oldest three kids were in school at that point. My youngest one was about 1.5. And so I kept her with me until she was 2. And then she went to a daycare in our neighborhood.
Okay.
And so that was kind of the first help that I had, which was, you have your mom guilt, you have all those things, but she actually loved it. And so I was like, why am I putting this on myself for her to not be having a good time? And she's happy, because ultimately we want our kids to be happy, and we want to be doing things that make them proud and fulfill our purpose while also, working and doing all the things for our kids too.
Yeah.
But with real estate, I told my husband, I was like, I can do this school online. I can work it on my own schedule. I can make it fit with the kids. If you're gone, I can make it work. And when we move, I can get licensed in the next state. So I don't have to start college over. And so, because I went through 5 years of college and I did not finish and get my degree. And I'm like, it just didn't work out that way for me. And so with real estate, it really is something that you can customize and make your own and just fit your lifestyle. And you don't have to pick, your family or work. It really can be and so one thing that I have learned is there's definitely no balance. People will say, I want to balance. My goal this year is to create balance. And for me, it's more so some days I'm fully immersed in my family and I am very little on my phone. And then some days, a lot of days, I'm on call and I'm working. And, you just kind of have to know when you have to shut that off and when you can kind of squeeze in some little things. But all of that definitely prepared me to launch my real estate career. And I knew exactly what community I wanted to serve. And me having that experience as a military spouse and as a stay-at-home mom raising little babies, it really drives me because I want them to feel seen. I want them to feel cared for, and I want them to have a great experience. And so all of that I dealt with truly built me.
Wow. And Candace, as you're mentioning though, it translates equally and amplifies into your business today. I mean, it's such a beautiful thing. And I've had the, good fortune of knowing you and, having conversations with you, and your heart and your energy is incredible. And I know that your clients feel that, your team and your organization feels that. So it's such a beautiful, refreshing thing because unfortunately, in the truth of the situation, we're not all created equal. And there's an ebb and flow into life, as you had mentioned. A lot of people throw balance into the equation. You said it perfectly. I mean, it's energy shifting. And when
Yeah.
you're present with the tasks at hand, and that includes personal relationships and business ones. And, sometimes people get really wrapped up in that equation. And what I would say is, like, you're living proof that it can be done,
Thank
right? And it's not perfect. Nothing
you.
is.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is massively inspiring. And we haven't even scratched the surface yet, Candace, because that was early days into real estate. Okay, so take it through. You're in real estate now, you're licensed. What was the milestones and progression to get us to where we are today and running the team, the organization?
Yeah. So I started on a team. I think that's a great idea for brand new agents. You get the support, you get the training, you have someone that you can shadow. I think that was vital to my business, especially with certain people that you work with that really take you to the next level and take the time to train you and answer your questions. And I have such ADHD. I'm like, I might ask the same question 5 times. And just having people that really want to help you learn in whatever way you learn best is really important. And those people truly support you. And so after I had left that team, I stayed solo for about a year, and I just felt loneliness kind of creeping in.
Oh,
And so I thought, instead of being a solo agent, why don't I create a team that's exactly what I would have wanted for my first team? I wanted community. I wanted people to be able to come to me if they had an issue. I really wanted to facilitate an environment of growth because like I said, I love personal development. I love challenging myself. I don't want to be the same person in 6 months or a year. And I
wow.
want to surround myself with people who don't want those same things. They don't want to be the same person,
Hmm.
in the future. And so I really try to align myself with those people and bring them on the team and facilitate that. And I'm very proud of every single person that we have on our team. They all have a huge heart. They love serving their clients just as much as I do. And I'm just so confident that any client who works with any agent on our team is going to have a fantastic experience and they're going to walk away feeling happy. And that means a lot to me.
I mean, Candace, and I'm gonna continue to echo this so people can hear it. From an unbiased sort of scenario, I've been able to have communication with you and your team, and it is incredible. It absolutely is something that is extremely unique, and the behavior of the support and the heart and the care that goes with it. But let's not get confused, anybody out there who's listening. These professionals aren't just the biggest hearts that you'll find, but they're some of the smartest real estate professionals, like true tier experts, knowing this stuff like the back of their hand. So to me, Candace, I can attest to not just you, but everybody involved in your team and your organization, like top notch, which I love. But then when you base it off of looking at it from the standpoint of growth, and you and I were kind of talking about this before, you know, shooting this here, which is talking about kind of growth and looking at it from a standpoint of, keep as you continue to expand the team and you bring on new individuals that are coming from all over you know, maintaining that intimate relationship, the support, the love and the heart, the culture that you've put together. So can we talk about that a little bit, as you've continued to
Yeah.
grow, the team?
Yeah, I would say right now, especially this week, we had a really busy week with an Easter event and all kinds of things happening. And I'm definitely in kind of a season of pivoting. So, kind of working through some different things. Just for example, as the team grows and there's only one of me, I kind of have to see where I have to be, where I need to be, and who else can help fill a little bit of those gaps since I am only one person. And so, I am very approachable. When my team has an issue, I want them to come and speak with me. I want to take that feedback. And I think that's one thing that's really important is also aligning yourself with people who not only want growth, but who want you to grow as well. And so even though I'm the team lead, I don't pretend to be perfect. I don't know everything. This is my first time leading a team too. And so as of this coming June, we'll be a team for a year, but I'm always wanting feedback. I'm always wanting to educate myself. I want my agents to feel like they can come to me or my admin to come to me. And so it's kind of one thing that I'm learning that I wanted to bring up on here just to, go to show that we're all growing in some area. And I'm like, how can I make more of me without having more of me? So it's kind of one of those things where growth happens and you hit a little bit of roadblocks, nothing crazy, but just some roadblocks. Then, okay, so now that we're approaching this, how are we going to tackle it together? How are we going to overcome challenges together? And how are we going to become stronger because of it? And as long as you have relationships with people that do want the growth and they want to receive a little grace, give a little grace, and come together to fix problems, that is so great to me because to me, that represents growth and that represents us being that intimate, great environment and a good, healthy culture. And so, yeah, I think being able to pivot
Mhm.
is a strength. And I think as long as we are able to take accountability of things and as long as we remain humble and approachable, I think you can only go up from there. And so it's really cool to see things that I had as an issue on my first team that I didn't feel comfortable with. I really strive to make my environment completely different. And so even though things are always going to come up, we're all adults and different lives and different things happen, but I have a lot of I'm just really proud of my team for knowing that they can come to me with different things and that we will tackle it together.
Wow. And Candace, as you kind of describe everything that's here, and there's so many people that can resonate with, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And,
Mhm.
you just continue to build that for everybody that's involved into your life. And again, we've said it time and time again, but your team, but also the clientele that are being served. And
Yeah.
again, it's just, there's so much heart involved with that and paying attention to details. And the fact of the matter is that you mentioned it. Nothing's perfect. It's always changing and evolving. And I love the pivot that you mentioned there. So what's next for Holland Home Group? And where do you see it? down the line? What are the goals? And why I'm asking this, Candace, is for anybody who's tuning in that might want to be involved, right?
Yeah,
That might want to align with you and what you've put together with the team. So what's the future look like?
I would say a couple of things. One big one being our referral network. We're highly focused on our nationwide referral network right now and aligning with the right agents. And
Okay.
by right agents, I mean people who will give the same treatment to our clients that we would, where I'm so confident sending this referral out that I know for sure that my client's going to walk away really happy with their experience, raving reviews. And so really on the hunt for agents that align with our mission and making sure that we support each other. So that is definitely one big one.
Mm.
I see us growing a really incredible referral network. We already have one, but I really want to take it next level and know that no matter where a client's going, we have a connection there to make sure they're getting taken care of. Because the thing is too, even if they have a good experience with us here in Colorado Springs, and if it's a military family and they're PCSing in 2 to 3 years, meaning they're moving to a new location, I don't know who they're working with there. I don't know if they're going to get there and their house is in terrible condition or, has structural issues or whatever the case may be. And so I just don't want to have those fears. I want to send them confidently and make sure that as they PCS, and a lot of people do buy and sell homes every time that they move somewhere, I want them to have a great experience with
Mm.
anyone that I recommend. Um,
Wow.
so those partners are really important to me, and just nurturing those relationships, masterminds, and all of that. I'm really big on education and growth, as you know.
Sure.
The other thing is we do virtual movie nights,
Hmm.
virtual hangouts. And so that actually is going to be launching nationwide as well within the next month or so.
Love
And
it.
so any agent who wants to get involved and wants to bring their clientele in, we have different frameworks so that they can be a part of it. And it's just a fun night where, we watch a family movie and everybody hops on. We send little gifts out to everyone. So you can order a free mailer, is what we call it. And it has candy and some little things there, popcorn. And that way we can all hop on at the same time and watch our movies with our family. So I would love to get some more people involved with that as well.
Candace, and everything that I'm picking up here is kind of echoing back to the very beginning, is you putting something together that you wish was there for you during your time in that life, and the perspective from a client, but also from a person, right? Just going through life, and a mother and a spouse and all the different things that are going through. And that's some of the best results it's yielded that way. Very few people take the time to think about, well, what would have happened if I had this into my life? How different could things have been? How better, smoother, faster? And you're doing it from a place of, heart. And that's what I love about it all the way through and through. Now, what's the best way if somebody wants to get involved, team-wise, organization, or with the events, like where's the best way for people to get a hold of you, connect with you, learn more, perhaps?
Yeah, I would say hopping on Facebook, messaging me on Facebook, or sending me an email, phone, whatever works. I stalk all of those things, but definitely personal Facebook would probably be the quickest way. And I'm super excited to connect with more and more people and grow our network and just have a great thing that we build together.
Oh, this is killer. Okay, everybody, you heard it. That's where you connect. But we're not done yet. We got one more thought or question into the Candace, thank you so much for all your time so far. I want to dive into, everybody likes to tune in to Titans to really learn not just their life and their journey and perspective, but also takeaways that they can apply to help them with their life, with their business, anything that you've taken for perspective of, your journey so far, and share with everybody. So, Candace, if you could pick or choose one or two pieces of advice that you would give to the audience that you applied, that you've experienced yourself, that has moved the needle in your business or in your life in a positive, what would that be? What do you want to say to the audience that way?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. The first one, which I've really learned in the past couple of years, is to just trust myself. I have this thing where I always feel like I have to have reassurance from someone else because I couldn't possibly be the expert. I couldn't possibly know the answer. And so definitely the past year, but I'd say a couple of years, I've been working towards trusting myself more. And so I would just encourage everyone to trust your gut. You know what's best for you. You know if something is a right decision, if it's a risk that's worth taking. And, especially being so focused on education, we
Mhm.
can kind of lean into analysis paralysis where we're taking in all of these, all of this information and then we're doing nothing with it. And so I would say, if you're like me and that's kind of what you tend to do, take a step back, apply a couple things at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself with all the information without taking action steps. So even if you're reading a personal development book or listening to a podcast, pick one or two things that you're going to try to implement, and don't try to overwhelm yourself because you will end up in that analysis paralysis. So trust yourself, stay educated, but don't get so stuck on it. The next thing I would say is you're going to probably need help at some point, and it's okay to ask for help. I need to hear that myself all the time, so I'm going to go ahead and say that out loud. Another thing with that is make sure that you're getting help from the right people. And when it comes time to delegate, it's okay that we're not experts at everything. I fully know that, as you know, I'm terrible with technology. I have my weaknesses and I know exactly what they are. And I know what my strengths are. And so I really try to stay in my strengths. And when I have weaknesses and things need done in that, I have a fantastic admin team and, our team, our agents and all of that who can kind of step in and use their strengths and their expertise. And I think it's just really important to be aware of your strengths and weaknesses and know that those weaknesses are okay. We all have them. What can you do? What help can you get to fulfill that? And then someone else gets to operate in their strength as well. So like you said, you really do go further together.
Hmm. But Candace, I mean, as you're kind of going through that advice, I mean, I know it rings through to the audience, and it's wonderful to hear the perspectives, and especially, I mean, first and foremost, trusting yourself and basing it off of that, coming from somebody like you is incredible. I mean, it's just we all get in our own heads, and we
Mm-hmm.
all have levels of self-doubt, no matter where we are into life, but and it's okay to kind of have that foreshadowing and say, all right, well, maybe not, maybe I don't know. But for it to paralyze you, for it to stop
Mm-hmm.
you from really becoming the best version of yourself, that's where the sadness in my mind comes into play. So listen to what Candace is saying. Like, give yourself that opportunity, give yourself that grace to do the thing and don't feel, a certain type of way on yourself. Because most of the time it is just you feeling this.
Yeah.
And, I think that us all hearing that again and again, I think is crucially important. But also, it brings up a really good point in my mind, Candace, is to surround yourself with people that are okay to have those conversations, that you can come to somebody and say, hey, I'm feeling this way right now. What do you think? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
not alone. And I mean, you can choose to be alone. You don't have to be, though. And there are people like Candace that are out there that have been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, that are willing to share and guide and nurture the journey, right? As long as Candace is along a journey too. So there's just so much there that I think people can really understand and take away, Candace. And I love that. Again, it's just from your heart and through you as a nature. Is there anything that you want to share or address before we kind of finish up this episode here? This has been incredible, but I want to be sensitive to time too. So, any final thoughts or closing remarks, Candace? It's all you.
I would say just go for it. We're always going to look stupid at some point in our own eyes. We think about that way too much, and usually other people don't really care or not paying that much attention, but we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect or do things this perfect way. But it's okay to try something and it not work out. It's okay to pivot, like we talked about. Just do it. Just go for it. It's okay if you look silly. You probably don't have the right people in your corner supporting you. When you make a mistake or if something doesn't work, if you have the right people in your circle, you're going to step right back up and you're going to keep on trucking. So
Wow.
stay the course.
Oh, Candace, you're the best. As always, anytime that I get to chat with you, it is incredible conversation. I'm just so glad that the audience is able to consume this and meet you if it is for the first time. If it is, you're welcome. Anybody out there who's listening or watching, you're welcome. Here's Candace. And truly reach out to Candace. I mean, she's literally saying, "Hey, I'm here. If you need something, send her a DM in Facebook, find her wherever you need to. We'll have a bunch of links in the show notes so you guys can do that. But can't encourage everybody enough to really get to know the team and the organization. If something sticks out to you, she's right here, everybody. So, but Candace, I can't thank you enough for taking the time. It was awesome today.
Thank you so much for having me on. That was great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And everybody, thank you as always for your time and attention, your love and support. If you like what we're doing with Real Estate Titans, don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the things that shows love and support. It means the world. I do have to give our sponsor a quick shout out, Lion Bolt Media. If you are a real estate professional looking to grow and scale your business with leading edge digital marketing, visit lionboltmedia.com for more information. Now, we're here every Tuesday, a different episode of Titans, a different location, a different Titan. We'll catch everybody on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care. Thanks, Candace.
Bye.
Bye.